Hi, welcome back to the Blk Lens.
What's up, y'all? It's been so long. Welcome back. We had a brief intermission, a much needed intermission. A lot going on this year, but it feels so good to be back. Welcome to the Blk Lens. If you're new here, my name is Zaria in Atlanta. I am honored to do this work, to have these conversations with my good actual sis.
Period. Real sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're new here, my name is Briana. I'm a co-host of the Blk Lens podcast. I'm located in Brooklyn, New York right now, but I'm originally from the Bay.
The Bay. Let's get specific. We are from San Francisco, California. Grew up 94124 HP baby boy. Let's be clear, okay?
Period.
But no, it's honestly an honor to have grown up in the Bay Area and be able to see the world and give kind of a light and a platform to Black experiences through different lenses. So being in Atlanta has been a really great way to kind of shape and inform a lot of the lenses that I speak on and the perspective that I bring to our conversations. I know the same is true for Brianna in New York and Brooklyn and how dynamic that culture is and how that's shaped her outlook on life.
Yeah. Do you ever think about like who would have really thought like we would grow up and not be in the Bay or like in San Francisco full time? I never thought that for myself when I was younger.
Right. I mean, it's funny because I never thought that either. And I think we both have the unique experience of being adults living elsewhere and then also returning and living in San Francisco for a while as adults again.
I
And
didn't
I
even
think
think
even,
about that. We
yeah,
have a really similar experience.
we do.
So for context, I moved away from San Francisco the very first time in 2016, and I moved to the Bronx actually, which we'll get into that another day. But no, it's never the VX for me. It's always Brooklyn. But I moved into the Bronx for whatever reason. But that was the very first time I moved away, and then please don't mind my cat, y'all. Please don't mind her. She she does that. We got her this new toy, this laser toy. It's an automatic laser, so it's on the floor, and
Please stop playing with her. She's not one of them. She's
she's literally
not
not one of them.
one
But anywho, yeah. So I moved away originally 2016, and then I moved back to San Francisco after a wild time being in New York by myself for 2 years. So I moved back
of them.
out there at the beginning of 2018. And then, what was your timeline like?
Yeah, so I graduated college in 2018 in May of 2018, and I returned back to San Francisco for my post grad transition. And so I was there from 2018, May 2018, to about to May 2020. So I spent 2 years in San Francisco as an adult, and that was very. I think it really showed me that I was right in not wanting to stay in San Francisco as an adult. But
Bruh, stop laughing. Stop
I'm
laughing.
trying not to laugh, but seeing you try to hold back your laughter.
Because I can see you looking at Callie. Let her play.
Woo! Okay. All right. But yeah, so I spent 2 years, early career in San Francisco. It was really, I think, nurturing for me to be home and
Really?
to fall in love with the city again.
I felt like at first you really hated the fact that you moved back to San Francisco.
No, I did. I was
Like,
depressed very much.
but was it San Francisco or was it like post graduation depression or was it like San
Mm-hmm.
Francisco itself? Like when you went away, did you ever feel like, oh, I don't like San Francisco as much now? Like I found this new culture, this kind of new thing that I didn't have any other like idea about previously, and I love this so much that I'm not ready to go back to San Francisco. Was that what it
It was
was?
interesting because I think for me, I love San Francisco. Anyone who knows me knows that I love San Francisco so much. And initially, I didn't want to go back to San Francisco like at all. But I know I didn't want to stay in Atlanta for early career. So it really put me in a
Mm.
limbo. And then the crunch of the spring semester, kind of interviewing and figuring out where I wanted to be was kind of tough. So I ended up in San Francisco by default. And I don't think that it was San Francisco as much as the circumstances of living in San Francisco, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it's just so incredibly expensive to live. You don't get the like, it's not as typical for people who aren't working in tech or
Yeah.
in like finance to like have the first new apartment and like have the very, I guess, traditional
Yeah.
transition from college to, early career.
You
And
also know
so
what's
that was
interesting? You know what's interesting is that like there's really no young adult culture in San Francisco. It's like because the lines of like wealthy and poverty are so spaced out and there's such a huge gap, right? There's like not really a middle class there that like at least we didn't feel the middle class. Like there's no, it's like no culture for you to indulge in, right? It's like you go straight from high school to either you go away to college or you start going to city college in San Francisco, or you start working right away because you have to. Like there's nowhere, no in between. And I think that was like one of the hardest parts for me. Is like I went away, so I'm like I got that taste of independence, right? And you got the taste of independence living on your own, like taking care of yourself. And then when you have to move back for whatever reason, you're back in your family's house. You know, you're
tough.
back in your family's space, and you're just that level of independence is like instantly taken away. So it's like
Yeah, I think that was the hard.
a very weird like reality that you're in, because you're like, I'm independent and I know I can like do this and I know I can be on my own, but I can't do that where I'm from, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very polarizing. I think people who aren't from the Bay Area or from San Francisco specifically can't. I mean, I would say Bay Area at large. If you aren't from there, then you can't really relate to what it's like to not necessarily be able to live on your own.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's the hardest part for me as someone who is fairly independent. Going back to San Francisco makes me dependent almost like automatically. And that to me is always what makes going back to San Francisco the hardest piece. It's just like, I know that at the end of the day, I'm going to be living in my family's home and I'm going to be asking my mom for rides and I'm going to be on Muni.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that kind of dependence. But, San Francisco has some great things. I know you just came back from visiting San
Yes.
Francisco with
Oh,
hubby.
yeah.
How was that?
It was so nice. Honestly, I feel like I've been missing one taqueria food, period. Like the first
Ooh,
place I ate at, so I did a trip where I went to LA for a little bit, which was also very interesting because like being from Northern California, I don't know. I grew up going to LA a lot. We grew up going to Southern California at least once a year, right? And so um but I still never felt like I've never felt like LA was just it for me. So even going there as an adult, and like I brought my husband who is completely, from Brownsville, Brooklyn, and like not into the California lifestyle. He was very much side eyeing LA. So we drove up to the Bay after just spending a couple days in LA. And the first place I went was Pancho Villa on 16th next to Panchitas.
yes.
Also, shout out to Panchitas. Shout out to my grandma for taking care of that person who tried to run down on them in their shop. Did you see that on
Very
the
protective.
news?
Yes.
Granny protected
All
hers.
for pupusas.
All for pupusas. Granny protected hers, and I appreciate that. But yeah, so I went to Pancho Villa. I got to see a bunch of my friends. The city was completely on lockdown, and rightfully so. I had just already booked the trip like months in advance, so I didn't really feel like I needed to cancel it because I made sure I was double tested and I kept my mask on majority of the time. So it was really weird to see the city so empty. Like we went, me and my friend and my husband, we went down to Ghirardelli Square, and there were maybe like two other people there that I seen. like in the actual Ghirardelli Square where you can like, buy chocolate and stuff. So that was interesting because that's a really busy place, and like, for the holidays it's really decked out, and like it's like a nice place to be outdoors over by Hyde Street Pier. So it was just really interesting that like it was a ghost town. I've never seen Pier 39. There was no one at Pier 39. Pier 39 was completely shut down, like completely closed. So that was very kind of eerie for me to see. But places like the Mission and Valencia and stuff like that was still open. But it was nice to like, go down and drive around and like just sightsee. Like San Francisco is such a beautiful city to do that in, and it's so like it's not that drivable. So that's kind of annoying, especially because they changed a lot of the driving rules, especially when you're downtown, when you're in the Mission. Like you can't just, it's not a straight through anymore. Yeah, there's like a lot of bike lanes and like just nonsense going on, but it is a nice city to like, you can go to a bunch of different neighborhoods in one day. Whereas like Brooklyn, it would take you literally weeks to like visit each nook and cranny of the borough. But yeah, so it was really cool. When was the last time you've been home? Since you moved, right?
I haven't been home since I moved. Yeah. And it's funny, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and he was asking, he's like, "Oh, like, are you going home for the holidays?" I'm like, "No, I'm actually not." And I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I like I said, I love San Francisco. It's a beautiful city. But I don't feel the desire to go home just yet. I think I miss my family, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily like feel like I need to be in San Francisco. I know Thanksgiving was a great holiday for me here, which was surprising because my twin sister was down here, so Janae was down here with us. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
with me, and we cooked. We had like a vegan spread. It was nice. It
Yeah.
was just an enjoyable holiday,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel very stressed out. I didn't feel, pressured to like get dressed up, even though I did. It was just a nice, easy holiday. And I think that's what I need now more than anything. And I
Yeah.
think the reality is travel is making me a little anxious right now, but I know plenty of people who've traveled and like have been fine. So I'm not as concerned about like hopping on a flight and traveling. But I think it's just the idea of like, where am I going to stay? And like, you know, am I going to be in a home that has someone that hasn't been, you know, taking the proper precautions, or, when you go back
Mm-hmm.
home, you want to see people. And so it's just, how did you manage that? Because that's something that I'm pretty curious about. Like,
Yeah.
you've seen a lot of different people in different bubbles. How did you manage like
I
controlling?
did. So for me, we got tested the day before we flew out. So that like gave us that kind of sense of safety. And then we were down in LA for the weekend, and so we spent time there, and then we got tested in LA, at Dodger Stadium or LA, whatever, some stadium, the baseball stadium. We got tested there, and then the day before we drove, or actually the day we drove down, is when we got our results for our LA test. So right once we got to San Francisco, we knew that we were negative again, um, which was nice. And then we honestly, like, it definitely, I can't lie, it was very like, I kind of felt like I was walking on eggshells, and I didn't know how to bring it up with which each person that I seen. I'm like, I would show them my test. First of all, I would send it just unsolicited. I'm sending you a screenshot before I see you that it's negative. So I did that to like everyone that I like met with. And then we kept our mask on. That's honestly was the biggest thing, and we kept our distance. So like when I seen my friend, it was awkward, but I didn't hug her. you know I didn't hug my friends. We sat as far as apart as we could. And then the first friend that I seen, we stayed outdoors pretty much the entire time. you
Mhm.
know so it was definitely like a weird situation to navigate, where like, especially going back home to places like where you are really close to these people. Like all my
Yeah.
friends I've known for over a decade. They're going on 13, 14 years. So it's weird, especially all of my friends have just had babies. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that. Like I seen four babies when I went back home, this past week, and I wasn't able to really love on the babies or on my friends as much as I like would have wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, it was understandable. And one of my friends who just had a newborn, I only seen her through the gate. You know, like I didn't even go in. She didn't come out. Like we were just with a barrier. I had my mask on, and she like did a little sip and see where we just chatted through her front gate, and she showed me the baby, and like we chopped it up for a little bit, and that was that.
Yeah,
So
that's so nice. I think
yeah,
the challenge that I'm having in Atlanta is people aren't being
nah, Atlanta's wildin'.
Atlanta is just doing its thing.
Yeah,
And while to a certain degree you have to kind of accept it for what it is, because I think people are either on the opposite ends of the spectrum where they are completely like anxious, not seeing anyone, locked down, and going crazy. Are people on the opposite end of the spectrum where people are like going out and going to clubs and hookah lounges and going
yeah,
crazy?
and you
So it's like,
yeah, I was gonna add, I've seen so many celebrities having parties in Atlanta. And like,
yeah.
how does that add to it? Like, are people going to those clubs, or are they, do you know, are they renting the clubs out where it's just their friends and family that's at the club? Or is it like, you know how celebrities will have their party somewhere and the public can go? Like, is it
Yeah.
that type of situation?
I can't say for sure like every situation. I think it's probably a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
But I've definitely known people who've been in clubs with celebrity hostings, and
That's
and so
mm-hmm.
it's kind of like probably shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that's the challenge that I'm having now. Is like in San Francisco, I felt a little bit better because people are generally be more respectful of the precautions and just generally more considerate. In
Yeah.
Atlanta, I'm having a really tough time navigating seeing people hanging out, doing dinner, doing lunch, because I just know just how ill managed this entire pandemic has been here.
Yeah.
So it's been really difficult for me to like have those conversations with my friends and people that I want to see, as far as like, when's last time you got tested? And like,
Yeah.
can I be around you without my mask on? Because
Yeah, but you know
I
what? You
think,
know why I feel like it's so hard for people to talk about it with their friends and even some family is because health has been such a personal thing, and like you usually don't share any personal health information to your friends just unsolicited. So it's like this boundary that a lot of the time people have not crossed with their friends. And so it's just a really awkward, you know, situation all around. And then there's a lot of feelings involved. Like it's just a lot, you know, and I think that right now we all have to just show each other some grace. Like for the people that are going out and enjoying themselves, that's fine, but like also you should respect your friends who are choosing not to partake in that, you know, and just show grace to them. Like don't be upset if they can't come to something or they are choosing not to come to something, you know, to protect their health. They're doing what they want to do for their own health. So I think that
exactly.
that's important, and it's such a weird like
It's very,
unknown.
yeah, that's a great way to think about it. But it's weird. It is kind of like a little tricky. It's a lot of firsts that I'm having, like kind of conversations that I'm having with a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's been really interesting. I think one of my friends who unfortunately tested positive, she's having a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Everything is fine. But conversation I had with her was just like, when you are choosing to like to be relaxed with some people, you really are kind of, increasing your chances. And,
Mm-hmm.
she was with someone who she felt comfortable with and kind of, relaxed her standards. And unfortunately, she tested positive. And I think it's a really weird kind of conversation to have, because um, you don't want to victimize people who tested positive, because it's just kind of the nature of things. People are going to test positive when pandemics are going on. And so I think that it's just really tough. You have to really make decisions for yourself. And I think as women, especially, we aren't used to just making decisions for ourselves. We kind of want to make sure everyone around us is nurtured and like is getting what they need from us and things like that. So when it comes to this, gotta make decisions for yourself. I've turned down a couple trips in this season, and I think I'm gonna just be sitting my behind at home this winter. I'm doing some home projects. I definitely want to do like maybe like a floating shelf back here, get my TV mounted, get it nice and cozy and comfortable in here so I can,
Yeah.
spend the winter kind of nestled in.
I like that, man. I like all them vibes.
You like to like that, man?
Yeah. I like all them vibes, man. That's really good. I know this winter my plan is now that the semester is over, honey.
Yeah, mama.
Let's talk about it.
That was a really
So
good
the semester
semester.
ended. I got a B, I got an A. I only took 2 classes because this was my first semester after a 7-year hiatus of not being in school. I started back going to school online, and I feel like it was a culture shock. Like I had to get back in that like realm of academia and like just the way that I write and like just yeah, a lot of change. So I'm happy that this semester ended and I ended, really well. But for this winter, I just bought 2 books that I'm gonna be reading and like, just some fantasy fiction. I'm a total nerd when it comes to my book choices. Like I try to get into nonfiction, but or self help, and it just doesn't hit for me as much as fiction books do, you know?
What about the Seven Laws of Power?
Mm, News. I like if I'm reading, I feel like it has to be some sort of escapism. Like I need to be taken out of this realm into another realm, you know? I can't just like be sitting and snoozing and reading. So,
I agree. I think
yeah.
my choices for books, I haven't finished All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Yeah. Is that
But
the
books
one with
like
the
that,
familial, like the family stuff? I know you always be telling me about this specific book.
now that's The Will to Change,
Yeah.
Men, Masculinity, and Love by Bell Hooks. That book transformed my soul.
Yeah.
That book is such a patient. That's a book that I recommend to everyone that I come across. I think
Mm-hmm.
men need to read it. I think women need to read it. I think non-binary folks need to read it. Like it is just a really dynamic book. And if you're familiar with Mrs. Hook's work, then you know she is just doing the work. Like the book is so good. I cannot tell you. I was on page 1 ready to cry, just the way she kind of can put experiences into words,
Mm-hmm.
and just have a really grounded um, approach to kind of high level. And I want to say it's like love theory, but it's kind of like higher level ideas about love. It's really grounded.
Yeah.
It's really grounded. So she does a great job. So I've been reading All About Love. I haven't finished that one. What I found with that book is, if you're familiar with her style, a lot of her books kind of sound the same. So I think what I'm coming across is that I feel like I've read her book before.
Mm-hmm.
And it is kind of that like in that nonfiction space where it's just a little bit harder to read.
Yeah.
Now, what I find is that with fiction, I can hop in knee deep, be flipping them pages because it's escapism.
Exactly.
But once you're reading a book where you really happen to like
Think critically.
wrestle, yeah, and think about your relationships and the way you show up and why you show up that way.
See,
It's
I
just
do. I have therapy every week for that, so I can't be like doing that at all times. Like I need some,
exactly.
especially in 2020, we need
Yeah.
some sense of like escapism. So whatever that is for you, whether I know you do your, what do you call it, soak Sundays, or your
Mhm.
soaks where she takes her bath on Sundays. I take a bath. I got into doing nails for myself and just like stuff that I just don't like. This was also recommended to me by my therapist, is just doing things that I don't have to think about, right? Like doing things that just let my mind literally find peace, even if it's for 5 minutes. What did you do today that let your mind find peace, you know?
Yeah.
That's
That's
the vibe
really
I'm on until the next semester starts, because the way I was doing 15-hour days at this desk, going from work, which is literally right here. I swivel my chair from work to schoolwork on this computer. Like it was just a swivel motion, and I would be here for 15 hours, not doing anything else. Like that, like you need to kind of rejuvenate after a whole semester of that. And I know other people who also have kids who like I can
Do
imagine.
you have a moment for people who are staying at home with kids? I'm just like,
Child.
for me personally, I need a break.
Yeah.
And I just cannot imagine how people have been doing this with kids. Like, I think about that often. And not
Yeah.
that kids are like
Mhm.
nuisances.
Mhm.
Not that kids are nuisances, but it's just this year has been so challenging for me mentally,
Mhm.
emotionally, like
Mhm.
physically. Like I could not imagine not having my peace in here when I need it. Like I think about that. I
Not
really think
you
about
saying the
that,
kids ain't giving peace, honey. Not you.
baby. I could not imagine having nobody screaming in here,
Yeah.
running up and down the hallway.
Oof, child. Yeah, I know. And I even think about that. It's like I be complaining about how quickly the sink fills up with dishes when there's two people here. Bruh, another whole body with utensils that I gotta Nah. They're like the way that the dishes fill up with just me and my husband, bruh. Like how? I'll clean the kitchen spotless at night. Wake up the next morning, half the sink is filled. I'm like, somebody's playing a trick because ain't no way there's that many dirty dishes after 2 hours. One meal. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But Godspeed to, and shout out to all my mothers and fathers out there who are just, taking care of themselves and also their little children and their children's mental health during this time. Shout out.
Wow. So what have you been watching? What have you been listening to? What's been kind of keeping you afloat? Like,
Hmm. Honestly, again, I'm on theme today with the escapism thing. I haven't watched anything that has got me thinking. I've literally been binge watching Love Island, the different seasons, like the
nice.
UK one, the Australia one, like, and that's when I have time to watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
I also just started couponing literally this week, and I've come up on some good stuff. So we'll see. With me,
Black girl coupon like Instagram. I would love to follow. I would love kind of someone to guide me through, and not to give you more work, but really like I need those Tide Pods.
yeah.
I really do.
Oh my gosh. So I bought some Tide Pods the other day, and Zaria has not left it alone. I got some Tide Pods for the low with my little couponing. Once I get the hang of it, honestly, it is so much math involved. I never would have thought. Like, couponing is not just like, oh, find this coupon and apply it. It's like each store has its own rules. Each like some cashiers be trying to like get cute at the register and they be mad that you getting your little, your deals and stuff. So it's a whole lot. The past week I spent at least an hour and a half in CVS.
That's a lot of
Yesterday
time.
I was in Dollar General when I was on the phone with you and mom and our sister. I spent what was that like an hour in Dollar General alone. It takes a lot of time, and I only have had this time recently when school finished.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the reward is that you get them deals and stuff for free.
It's like exchanging time for money.
Yeah. And then you be in there sweating because it's like you sitting there like making sure your deals work out how they work out in your head. You have to register like, okay, no. But you also don't want to cause like a big fuss at the register. It's like it's a whole lot that goes
Shoot, my
into it.
coupon's over. I'm saying take all that back. I'm not paying. I ain't paying for 20 packs of Tide Pods. Take all this back.
Exactly, but it's like so embarrassing, especially like I try to go when I know the store's not going to be busy,
That's so
like so there's not people behind me
funny.
like waiting and just the whole nine. But anywho, what have you been watching? And
I still don't watch very much TV.
yeah.
Um, but I have been watching Ghost, the Power Book, and that's been so good. This I'm really impressed with how they've taken the story and kind of transformed it. I was worried towards the end of Power that it was getting a little not cliche, but kind of like
Empire-ish.
yeah, kind of empire-ish, kind of a little worn out. But they really, I think, breathing new life into this new storyline, and it's just really nice to see kind of Tariq's development, the college life. I think having a coming to age college story is always a win for me. Like I love stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing a really, really great job. So I've been watching Ghost of Power Book. You know, my girls, the Real Housewives of Atlanta is back.
Oh, are
And
they?
it's been this season's been interesting.
You love some
I
reality TV.
I love me some reality TV. And my girls, the Kardashians, are done. I've been watching them since the very beginning. I like vividly remember being in the car. I had to be in like maybe the fourth grade,
Mm.
third or fourth grade. My mom was dropping us off to elementary school, and on the radio, it was Kim, and she was interviewing with Ryan Seacrest talking about
Mm.
the show. I didn't
Mm.
know who Kim Kardashian was at the time. I was in like the third grade. But I was sold on it. I'm like, oh, cool, family show. Let's see what this is about. So I've been watching them for literally over a decade.
Yeah.
So I'm sad to see them go, but my girls in Atlanta always hold it down. So I'm really interested to
TV.
see this Kenya and Latoya. Apparently they have like
Like a beef?
like a lesbian love interest kind of thing.
Latoya who?
Latoya from YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah, you just joined the cast.
yeah. Oh,
So
oh.
she has this new
What's her
stuff. This
name?
the
Latoya Forever.
look, yeah, Latoya Forever, I
Isn't
think.
that her name on
Yeah.
YouTube? Yeah.
I'm not subscribed to her, but people
I
around me have subscribed to her for a long time, so I'm familiar kind of with the family, the
yeah.
vibe. And she's a cute girl, and she's on the show.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Wow.
apparently this love interest between her and Kenya. They're both newly separated or divorced. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of energy there. And then the new girl Drew Sidora. Not really set on her. Yeah, I don't know if I like her
I don't
very
know
much.
where is she from?
She's an actress. She's the one that played T-Boz
In the
in the
TLC
TLC movie.
movie?
Yeah. Yeah, she's got
Ah.
a couple other roles. You're probably familiar with her face.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I feel about her on the show just yet. But it's been
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool to see the dynamic without Nene again.
Oh,
Um,
Nene's out this season.
yeah, Nene's out this season.
Oh, I really love Nene.
I
I
love Nene.
think she has, but
That's
everyone has qualities to them that aren't perfect, and that's
mm-hmm.
fine. So, yeah, I hate how they try to vilify Nene.
Yeah,
She is so human.
yeah,
Like, Nene, I feel like to me, she is like when you think about reality stars and like how they try to characterize them, she honestly has it all. Like she is the most developed as a character in a reality TV show. You know what I mean? Like she shows her struggles with Greg and his fight with his health and like her son becoming a man and like I think yeah and her real life like issues that she has with like her friends or whatever when they get into it. Like I think that's very real and it's not like this facade that you often see in reality shows. So I can appreciate that. And that's why, and she can read somebody down. Let's talk about that.
be clear. Nene at least know how to read. That's a Sag in her.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we got that light little subtle shade, but we can
Yeah.
get with you.
Yeah.
So I'm sad to see Nene go, but the dynamic actually hasn't been too bad. So it's been good. It's been
Yeah.
holding me, keeping me afloat, child. And I just
Yeah.
started reincorporating a little bit of the gym just to get those endorphins going.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just day by day, day
Yeah.
by
Have
day.
you've been dating, right?
I have actually.
What's shit going on with that?
So I'm dating. What I found is being in Atlanta is just so much more conducive for dating.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a city full of black men that love black women,
Yeah.
that love thick
I
black
like all
women.
that. I like all that, May.
Yes. So it's been fun. It's been nice. I think dating in the pandemic is interesting, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to another podcast and they were saying, you know, for your roster for the winter, you need one person that you see, one person that's keeping you company on the phone, and then another one that you can kind of text here or there and kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to kind of round everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how things have fallen
Into place.
by naturally. But no, dating's been fun. Dating's been really, really fun. Talking to two guys. One, we don't have to get into details, but one, I mean, it's Atlanta, so they both actually went to Morehouse. But one is from LA, one is from Florida. And it's just been really fun to like kind of get back into the swing of things in San Francisco. I wasn't really dating in the
Yeah.
same way.
I feel like you didn't even care in San Francisco.
You know, San Francisco wasn't as much of a priority for me.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm like here, I have my own space. I'm like,
You end
I've
up
been
you are
driving.
independent. Oh yeah, you got your license while we were on our hiatus. How was
Yes,
that
I did
experience?
that. It was great. I got my license and I also bought a car for my birthday.
Yes.
And so that was it's been great. I think my life has been liberated, and I think it is showing up in all different aspects, like dating.
Mm-hmm.
I can drive to dates, and
Yeah.
that's like you know a little bit different.
Yeah. I also
Um,
recommend driving to dates, by the way, because
yeah,
you
because
don't
you
want.
get an exit.
Yeah, exactly. You get an exit. You always want to just show up on your own, when you can and leave when you want. Like,
Mhm.
anywho.
Absolutely. So it's been fun. I went to Top Golf. First dates are always kind of just interesting. I really do enjoy dating though. I will say that. I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
dating. First dates for me are always pretty like when you meet someone for the first time. This is just generally. It's
Mm-hmm.
always kind of very interesting to kind of you know, you kind of want to see what the vibes are. So Top
Yeah.
Golf was I think was a great first date.
But
Just
don't you feel
because
like that's too long? Like Top Golf, you gotta how many rounds is Top Golf? And then it's like you
well,
gotta
Top
entertain them
Golf
for that long?
Well, so I think what I like about Top Golf is there's activity to do. And it's
Yeah,
an independent activity, whereas it's not like ice skating where you're kind of ice skating with someone. Or like, you know, if you
yeah,
go to ice skating rink with someone, you're pretty much ice skating together. But Top
yeah.
Golf is like, I'm gonna hit I'm gonna hit the ball, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna get my points, and it's together but separate. You know, kind
Mm,
of the same way that bowling is. It's like
mm,
you're gonna have a turn to hit, I mean to what is it to bowl, and I'm gonna have a turn to bowl. And it's together, we can celebrate, but it's also like not a group thing.
I still like a quick. Let's grab a coffee. Obviously,
No,
you can't do
I'm
that
not a coffee girl. I grab coffee with my friends.
now.
I'm not grabbing
No,
coffee
but
by
I
myself.
like them vibes, or like let's and to me I think grabbing a drink could be nice, but I hate when guys get too drunk on a first date. I think that is so gross. It is
What's the
so.
wildest thing you've done on a first date?
What's the what
What's the wildest thing you've done on a first date?
that I've done?
Yeah.
Hmm, that's a tough one. Let me pull out. Oh, like a second date. We're in Brooklyn. I've gone on a date at the strip club.
Wow.
Yeah. And like this person I was dating was like kind of like managing one of like a local artist, we can say, a local artist out here that had a popular song out at the time. It's not Bobby Smurda's manager or anything like that, but it was just someone that I met in through a mutual friend. And yeah, the very first night that we like hung out together by our, like, one on one, he was like, my artist is, has to go to the strip club. It's like a promotion deal, whatever, like, come out with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he picks me up. We go to the strip club. He hands me like a huge stack of ones, and I'm just throwing ones and just in the section with him and his artist and a bunch of strippers. It was actually really lit and really fun. And I didn't get home until like 8 a.m.
Wow.
And it was in Queens. It was obviously all the strip clubs are in Queens, so it was a strip club in Queens, and it was lit.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say that was
How
probably
far
like,
from you
oh, I've
guys live?
actually gone in, actually in the Bay, number two, right, which would be like a close to, for wildest date is the shooting range. We went to the shooting range on our first date. And that was kind of, I never been to the shooting range, so it's like you get this like adrenaline rush when you get in there, because they have you like, they have to teach you how to unload and load the gun, how to like be safe with the gun, and the person that you're with has to pass, like they have to know all of the details about gun safety and like how to load and unload for you and the person that's never been. So it was like a little nerve wracking, because I'm like, that would be embarrassing if he took me here and he does not know and we can't even do it. So I'm just standing there when the guy's like, okay, we're about to do the test or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, he better pass this. Like, I'm gonna be so embarrassed if like he does not know how to do this. But he knew how to do it. And we went to the shooting range in, was it in Milpitas? It was somewhere in the South Bay.
Yeah.
But that was really fun. I hate it though. I will never go back to the shooting range. The
Too.
hot shell off of the bullet kept like hitting, like ricocheting off my chest, and it's hot. It burns. So I don't know if I was too close. I don't know. It was just a lot, and like the way the reverb, I think, of the gun shooting, it's like you almost hit yourself in the face. And that wasn't even that was a handgun. So just imagine like a shotgun, the force, it could literally blow you back when you're shooting. So that was a very interesting date, and I have not been back to a shooting range since then. I was very scared.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no real wild dating stories. Because I'm still early
Yeah.
in dating.
Where would you want to go though? Like, do you have any place that's like on a bucket list, or like a perfect date for you? What is it?
A perfect date, I think it's tricky because a perfect date for me would be different than like a perfect first date, you know?
Yeah. Okay, just a perfect date. Doesn't have to be first
Well,
date.
I love like I know we're in COVID, but like I love live music. So like a nice concert vibe, a nice like
Concert. Do you mean like just like a live, like maybe you go to like,
no, I mean like a concert.
no.
No.
How you get how? What will be the point of that? Please tell me.
No, I love concert. I love live music. And it's like it's nice to like vibe with someone that you first of all you don't go to concerts. Let's start
Yeah.
there.
Let's yeah.
But like
I'm
so
guilty.
not like a like stadium show, right? Where it's kind of like heck of
Yeah,
people and
that's what
like
I'm thinking.
I'm thinking more of like an intimate concert. Like I went to a Brit Bias concert. I went to a Luke James concert. That was actually the last concert that I went to before
Hmm.
the COVID lockdown. And it was super intimate, great show. That was actually the perfect date that I took myself to.
Hmm.
But it was a live concert. It was an intimate
But
venue.
are men gonna
Like
want to go
sex.
to?
Yeah, I mean a lot of people are there on dates. A lot of
Huh.
people are there with their men.
I guess again, because I'm not a concert goer, I'm like, because I love R&B. Like I would love to do something like that and go to like a small Luke James or Brent Faiyaz moment. But like my husband would be like, he hates R&B for one, which is inhumane if you ask me. But we ain't gonna go there today. He hates R&B, so I'm like, how, I don't know what the appeal is for maybe a man who likes, he's very hip hop strong and like, and I can't see myself going to like a Travis Scott concert. Like
Yeah.
there's just a lot of like nuances that I haven't figured out yet, but I do like the idea of like a nice R&B, like cute little.
Hmm. I definitely agree. I think concert vibes are just so sexy. Like you get dressed up cute, it's grown, you get some live music going, and then you see their vibe. Like one thing that I enjoy doing is if you go to a concert with like your group of friends and y'all all catching a vibe, that is so much fun. And it's not like there's no pressure to have conversation. There's no pressure to like, it's just like, let's just feel the vibe. Let's have a good time. You don't have to be drunk. You don't have to, you can do this. You can have so much fun sober, which to me is always important,
Mm-hmm.
especially on like dates. Like, You want to see how someone holds themselves sober. You know what I
So you
mean?
don't drink on dates?
I don't always drink on dates. I don't. But I mean, I'm not against it. But I like to see how people like, show up
So you
sober.
would never do like, let's go to a bar, have a couple drinks.
I'm such the first date that I've ever went on. I met a guy at a bar,
You're such
and
a lightweight. I don't even see how. Anywho.
girl, such a lightweight. I literally went to Starbucks before the bar,
Mm-hmm.
got myself a matcha lemonade, and I pulled up to the bar and just let him drink by himself. Because I'm like, I'm not about to drink with you.
That's so awkward.
You know. But if you know me, you know that I'm not really a drinker though. So it's like I don't mind like if we're at a nice dinner, yes, pour me up like a glass of
Oh
wine,
my
whatever.
gosh, so bougie. I want give me a whiskey sour and we gonna chat. We gonna talk about life is what we gonna do. We're gonna talk about where we want to go and what we want to travel. Like those are the vibes that I like and I can appreciate. It's just I think there's a limit for dates, especially when you don't know someone well. So I would probably do a 2 drink maximum for both. Because most adults, like especially if you're in your mid to late 20s, know how to handle their alcohol and like are pretty seasoned and like should be able to have 2 beverages without getting sloppy. If they get sloppy, that's a red flag on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I can totally, I mean, I guess I understand, but not really.
Yeah, it's not really like and I guess maybe it is a bit uptight, but I
Yeah,
just
that's
don't.
the vibe it's giving me. I wasn't gonna
But
say it.
people who know me know that I don't drink like that. So it's not like I'm not gonna give you the impression that like you're gonna take me to a bar and I'm about to be busting down shots.
Did you tell him that you don't really drink? And
Yes.
he was still like,
But
all
then
right, bet.
the funny thing is I met him at like a bar lounge in LA and I was drinking.
Exactly. What
So he probably had the impression that I was about to be
in there?
busting down these drinks, and that's not really my speed.
But you know what you can
But
also do is get something light and sip on the one drink. But to me, it comes off as one, I'm agreeing to meet you here, but also I'm not gonna drink anything and sitting there and look at you. Like that to me gives like weird vibes. I would rather you be like, can I have
no,
a
I literally
cranberry
told
on ice with a splash of vodka and be cute and just have you know what I mean? Like you could have gave those vibes.
him. I was in there like a goddamn weirdo. But no,
Sitting there like a
honestly was
serial killer.
a fine day. I'm happy that I didn't drink because I probably would have been busting shit wide open.
What?
No, I think it was a good call,
Yeah.
honestly. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
It
that's so
happens.
funny.
Certain
Because
people
I
are
know
certain
you're not a
people.
drinker, but like, I didn't think that you would agree to go to a bar and then sit there like a serial killer and not drink
No,
anything.
I literally told him I was like, I don't really drink. We were planning out the date.
Hmm.
He's like, hey, I'm coming up to San Francisco. Can I take you out for a drink? Like this is kind of last minute, but I would love to see you. I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, not much of a drinker, but this one's near me. Let's meet.
Do you think the guy or the girl should plan the date?
I think women plan better dates,
I do
but I
too.
think men have to initiate. I 1000% believe that, and I think that's what I've enjoyed about the last couple of dates I've been on. It's just like just to show up, and it's weird because I think it's a test almost.
Hmm.
Like I went to the Atlanta Botanical Gardens and I met the guy there, and it's almost like a little test, like how well did she prepare this?
Hmm.
Right. And so you get there, and then I found out that we had premium tickets. I'm like, oh, he got the nice tickets. He didn't just get us general admission. He got us like nice tickets with, all the bells and whistles and that kind of stuff is like, it seemed like it doesn't matter, but it does. Like, I didn't expect to have premium tickets, but to know
What
that
are
someone,
premium tickets at the botanical gardens?
well, it just comes with like a drink ticket and like
Oh,
special stuff for like engaging with all the art in the gardens. So it came with like special glasses and
oh, that's
yeah, it was
cute.
like, it's cute. And I don't know. So I was saying, I feel like it's definitely like a little bit of a test. Like, is he gonna pay for parking? Is he gonna? You gotta see. Like, sir,
That's like
am
that.
I allowed to
Those
reach my wallet?
Yeah, it's like those memes where the girl is like pulling out, where the girl's like
Yeah,
pulling out her wallet, and then she's like, "But you should still be paying." Like, I'm
exactly.
pulling this out for show.
But see, I rebuked that energy in 2021 because I'm not reaching for nothing on dates. Like, I,
We've had this conversation
um,
before, you and I'm of two minds. Like I was telling you actually the other day when we were on the phone with mom, and I said that I went Dutch with a guy on a first date.
why?
Um,
The question is why. I would never go half with any man.
for those of y'all who don't know, going Dutch is going half on the bill. So we grabbed drinks, right? And it was a cute little date. It was right off of Broadway in the city. We went
Not to
to.
take you to Broadway.
It wasn't on
Like the
Broadway. It was
okay.
like off
Oh,
of Broadway in San Francisco. Like,
okay. But it wasn't the part by like the strip club. It was the part by
no,
like Little Italy.
exactly. It was like up
Girl,
past
'cause I was
Broadway.
about to say.
He didn't take me to no. Anywho, we get there, we have our drinks. We had great conversation. We were there for like 3-4 hours. Um, and he was a security guard and he was working a night shift. So what he did was he met me in the city before he had to go to work, but not like right where he had to go to work. But say we met up at like 6, he had to be to work at like 10 or 11 or something like that for overnight shift. So we got drinks, chopped it up, and then the bill comes, and he's like, the bill comes and he's like, you want to go Dutch? And I'm like, and we doing a Diddy meme. We just looking at each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, okay.
It's a hard no for me.
So I was just like, okay, because I had no other, like, what would you do in that situation? You saying no and looking like a dweeb, like you ain't got no money?
So I think honestly in that situation, I don't think I would say no, but I would literally never speak to him again.
Wait,
It's like I'll pay half, nigga, but I ain't speaking to you ever again. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, he honestly
Like,
turned out to
literally,
be
you can't be serious.
he literally turned out to be a literal demon anyways. He was so one of the most he goes down in history as the most clingy man I've ever dated in my life. And honestly, my cousins, Itiana and Janaea, can attest to this because he also invited us to this house party he was throwing. Mind you, we had been on all of like 3 or 4 dates. So I pull up with my cousins in tote. They show up and we all pull up. It was in Richmond at that because he lived in Richmond.
Richmond?
He lived
Oh,
in Richmond with a
right.
couple of his like he had a roommate situation going on. So they have a party, whatever. We get there and he telling everybody I'm his girlfriend. Sir, we spoke about that. This is maybe my third time meeting you in life. Calling his mom on FaceTime, being like, look, meet my girlfriend. Like, sir,
Wait, okay. Real question.
there's a lot to unpack. Huh?
Was he Richmond?
No, he wasn't from Richmond. He was from the East Bay. I don't know. He just lived in Richmond.
That be that.
Yeah, he was just very clingy. It ended up being a hot mess, and I did eventually block him. But yeah, I should have known when he
I'm
said,
more
let's
for.
go Dutch.
I would never. Matter of fact, have I ever? Yeah, no. I simply would never go have on a date with any man. And I need this on record because I like I would almost feel disrespected. Like if you ask me out on a date and you expect me to go half on it, don't ask me. And we talked about this in our conversation because if you're taking me out on a date, one, you need to make me feel like a woman, and me reaching for my wallet
It's
is not
not.
making me feel like no type of woman. Two, if you don't have the means, ain't nobody asking you to take me to no freaking Michelin 5-star restaurant. But if you don't have the means for a nice date, you can make it a nice date for cheap.
But I respected it because he, again, had his own living situation. He had his own car.
No,
Like, I got that. So I understood, like,
uh-uh.
excuse me, he's working. He's like, like I really respected that, I think. And this was my
Okay,
early,
okay. Question: are we taking into account the cost of living when giving grace to niggas about dates, paying for dates?
we're
No.
taking in the account that I am very empathetic. And I'm just like, oh, I get it. Like, I'm not living on my own. I'm living with my family in the city. So, you know what I mean? Like, I get that. I'm like, he's out there trying to make it happen. He got a job, he got a car, and he's struggling. Like, it's expensive to live in the Bay, especially at that time. This was 2012, something like that, 2013.
I'm gonna ask again. Are we taking into account cost of living expenses in the Bay Area or anywhere for that matter when it comes to splitting half on dates? No, Briana, I want more for you. I want abundance for you,
I
and
mean,
that
listen,
is
that
not
was
going to
my
come.
situation then, sis. You know
No.
that would never fly now. Anywho, I'm married, so we ain't even gotta think about it no more. There's never gonna
Well,
be
as for
another.
me in my house,
There's never gonna be another time where I'm going Dutch on a first date because
as for me in my
I
house,
got
baby
my for
girl,
lifer.
you got your for lifer, and that's beautiful. Abundance for you too. Abundance for me. Jesus, if you listening, please don't ever make me have to go half on a date if I
I
want
honestly want you to be tried in that situation because I really want to know what you would
to.
do.
Okay, so my thing is this: on the first date, on the first and second date, absolutely not, absolutely not, absolutely not, absolutely not. On the first and second date, no, and that's a hard no. And I'm honestly, I'm not gonna wish for the opportunity to be tried a little bit, but I would just say this: I would love the exercise to tell a nigga, no, I'm not going half with you. You asked me out, just for exercise purposes. You know what I mean? To just apply that,
Yeah.
because if a man thinks he's gonna be going half with me on a date that he asked me out on,
Hate to see it.
you need to hear no. You need to hear a hard no.
I'm weak. I
And this
mean,
isn't me being like spoiled or bratty. This is like real life.
I'm interested to know. Let us know how y'all feel about that situation because honestly, I need more than this. Is like Zaria is, the opposite end of the spectrum where I'm like somewhere in between. No, I'm somewhere all the way on the other end of the spectrum of niceness when it comes to like grace and things like that with
I'm
dating.
nice too, but the point of the date is to, I don't want to say impress me, but the point of the date is to make me feel like I can be with you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I've had so many other experiences. That was just the one and only experience that I've had that I went Dutch because
And you feel
someone
like you can
asked.
be with him.
But
And
yeah, and I mean, I didn't end up with him, so that's fine. All the other dates
okay.
have always been paid for, but I guess what I'm saying is I can understand, like, at least at the time, I understood what, you know. Anywho. Wow. It's been so real. We are so happy to be back and making some more content for y'all. Um, Follow us on Instagram at the Blk Lens, of course. Um, yeah, and engage with us. Like we love conversation. We will continue uploading and being consistent because we know we've been on a hiatus for a while. So,
And
uh,
y'all been asking for us.
Yeah, y'all have.
The streets have been coming back to me. The streets have been telling me that y'all been asking for us. So we're super happy to be back. We have some we have some great topics planned for kind of this next semester of
Right.
the Blk Lens. But no, we're super excited to be back. We have some great content, great conversations, just to get us thinking and talking and connecting. So we're super happy to be back. Thank you for sitting with us. This has been a kind of a long episode, but
Yeah.
it's been great to reconnect with you guys. We will see you guys soon.
See y'all
Next week,
soon.
we have special guests.
Special guests. Stay tuned for that.
All right, nice to see you guys. Happy holidays. And we'll definitely see you before the new year, but may not see you before Christmas. So have a great holiday. Have a great Christmas for those who celebrate. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of those beautiful things. We will be connected next week. All right, y'all. Peace out.
Peace out.